Online hearing aids virtually ruined this patient's life. Hey guys, Cliff Olson, Doctor of Audiology and founder of Applied Hearing Solutions in Phoenix, Arizona, and in this video, I'm sharing a cautionary story that will make you never want to buy hearing aids online. This day and age, you can pretty much purchase whatever the heck you want to online. You can buy groceries and clothing online, you can purchase cars and houses online. Heck, you can even purchase some property on Mars or some delicious unicorn meat right from the comfort of your own home. Not only does the internet make purchasing things easier, but you can also get things that you would have never had access to before. Of course, the internet isn't all sunshine and rainbows, and sometimes when you go and buy things online, you end up getting ripped off. In 2023, a Michigan State University survey identified that 7 out of 10 consumers have been deceived into buying counterfeit items online. And according to the National Crime Prevention Council, each year approximately $2 trillion worth of counterfeit items are sold across America. And even worse, counterfeit electronics are responsible for 70 deaths and over 350,000 serious injuries each year. But honestly, it's probably safer to purchase all of these other items that I previously mentioned in this video, including unicorn meat, than it is to purchase hearing aids, and not just because they might be counterfeit or that they might blow up on you. But before I explain why and how online hearing aids virtually ruined one of my patients' life, do me a huge favor and click the like button. It really helps out the channel. And if you are not yet subscribed to the channel with notifications turned on, go ahead and do that as well. It is greatly appreciated. And a huge shout out to Signia for sponsoring today's video. Signia has become a trusted name in hearing care by consistently developing solutions that prioritize both performance and user experience. Their latest platform, Signia iX, is built to support the way real conversations happen. Dynamic, unpredictable, and often in noisy environments. One of the standout features of the iX platform is real-time conversation enhancement, which continuously monitors and adjusts to multiple speakers in real time. Whether you're at a busy dinner or navigating group conversations, this feature helps you stay engaged without losing track of who's speaking. Signia's augmented focus approach processes speech and background noise separately, making it easier to focus on the voices you want to hear while still staying aware of your surroundings. It's a practical solution for anyone who's ever struggled to follow conversations in a noisy room. The iX line of devices also benefits from Signia's improved processing chip, which enables faster and more responsive sound adjustments. This powers features like Own Voice Processing 2.0, which helps your own voice sound more natural, something many hearing aid users find challenging with new hearing aids. Alongside the popular Pure Charge and Go iX, Signia has also introduced the new BCT iX, designed for individuals who want more universal wireless connectivity using Bluetooth Classic. This is a great option for individuals who want to connect their hearing aids to more devices such as laptops and desktop computers. If you're looking for a hearing aid that's responsive to your real-life conversations and wireless connectivity needs, the Signia iX series, including the new BCT iX, is definitely worth a closer look. Okay, so recently I had a new patient come into my clinic who had purchased a pair of prescription hearing aids online. These prescription hearing aids were from a brand name that you would definitely recognize. And I know what you're thinking. The answer is no, they were not counterfeit devices. This individual did get lucky and got a legitimate pair of prescription hearing aids online. Now, her reasons for purchasing these devices online were legitimate. I mean, she went to her local hearing care professional, they gave her a recommendation for this exact make and model of hearing aid, and then she went online and bought those hearing aids. She was able to send the audiogram that she received from her hometown clinic off to the online hearing aid company so they could use it to pre-program her hearing aids. She also received numerous virtual visits with the hearing care professional that worked at the online hearing aid company in order to customize her hearing aids further. They came with a 3-year warranty and all for $2,000 less than what she could have received from her original clinic in her hometown. However, despite spending over a year struggling with these hearing aids and having consistent adjustments by the hearing care professional who worked at the online hearing aid company, she could never hear well with these devices. In fact, she was doing so poorly with their hearing aids that she was completely withdrawing from every social interaction with family and friends. She was unable to hear and understand the television or even talk on the phone, and she was becoming massively depressed. So much so that she told me her inability to hear was completely ruining her life. Fortunately, instead of giving up, she decided to seek out a second opinion after watching some videos on my channel, which is how she ended up in my clinic. Now, inside of my clinic, we actually have something called our Applied 360 Review Consultation, which was specifically designed to identify if someone's existing hearing aids were set up the right way. During this Applied 360 review process, the first thing that I identified is that she did not have a typical hearing loss. Now, I would characterize a typical hearing loss as one where someone has relatively normal hearing in their low frequencies that gradually declines through the mid frequencies into the high frequencies. In her case, in her left ear, she had a mild to moderate hearing loss in the low frequencies, rising to normal hearing thresholds through the mid and early high frequency ranges, then sloping down again to a moderately severe high frequency hearing loss. Her right ear was more of a flat moderately severe sensorineural hearing loss that was significantly worse than her left ear. Not only does this complicate the treatment of this hearing loss immensely, but it can also indicate an underlying medical condition like an acoustic neuroma, which is a tumor on the auditory nerve. Her right ear also had a word recognition score that was 16% lower than the word recognition score in her left ear. Typically, this would result in a referral to an ear, nose, and throat physician so they could order an MRI to make sure that there's not a tumor growing in her head. And because I had received a report from her hometown audiologist, I do know that that recommendation was made, but there was no recommendation made for this by the online hearing aid company. So of course, my first recommendation to this patient was to go get an MRI to make sure that there's not a tumor growing in her head that could eventually kill her. Now I'll fast forward a little bit just to tell you that she did end up getting an MRI and there was no acoustic neuroma, so she got lucky. As I continued on with my review of her existing hearing aid treatment with the online hearing aids, I performed a best practice procedure called test box measures. Test box measures, otherwise known as electroacoustic analysis, help me identify if a hearing aid is meeting manufacturer specifications from a diagnostic perspective. If the internal components of a hearing aid are not meeting manufacturer specifications, then that hearing aid is never going to function properly. What we actually identified is that the receiver wire that was attached to the left hearing aid had distortion percentages upwards of 15%. And just so you know, the proper distortion level of a hearing aid receiver wire is less than 4%. This was essentially destroying the performance that she was getting from that left hearing aid, which happened to be in her better hearing ear. Once we changed the receiver wire on the left hearing aid, the distortion percentages dropped to below 1%, making the sound much clearer coming out of that hearing aid, which meant that we could then continue on with the review process. Next, I performed a feedback management check with the rubber domes that she was using on these online hearing aids. Now, it's important to understand that the type of dome that you use on the tip of a hearing aid is critical for the performance of that hearing aid. When I do a feedback management check, the hearing aid creates an internal signal that it puts into her ear canals, and then we can measure how much of that sound is leaking out of her ear canals. In her case, the feedback management check revealed that the types of domes that she was using on her hearing aids were leaking way too much sound, meaning that I could go into the hearing aid programming software and increase the amplification as much as I wanted to, but it would all just leak out of her ears without giving her benefit. What we identified through this is that she absolutely needed custom ear molds to trap in the appropriate amount of amplification if she ever had a shot to hear better with hearing aids. And the final part of our Applied 360 review process was to perform a best practice procedure called real ear measurement. Real ear measurement is the gold standard of hearing aid verification that measures the amount of amplification from a hearing aid to see if it is programmed correctly to a patient's hearing loss prescription. And what I found by running real ear measurement was not different from any other online hearing aid that I have ever tested inside of my clinic, because there is no way that you can have real ear measurement done remotely. Not only was she under-amplified for the vast majority of her hearing loss, but she was significantly over-amplified in other areas of her hearing loss. No wonder why she felt like the sound quality of these online hearing aids were absolute garbage. I mean, if she ever tried to increase the amplification to try to help her hear better, it would just end up over-amplifying certain frequencies that would make the hearing aids uncomfortable to wear. But then if she turned down the volume to get rid of this discomfort, she basically prevented herself from being able to hear any speech information at all. And just to be clear here, this horrific hearing aid programming was after she had sent in her audiogram to the online hearing aid company for them to set up her hearing aids initially, and after over a year of having virtual sessions with a hearing care professional trying to fix the programming issues. Are you starting to understand the risks of purchasing hearing aids online now? Good, but I'm not finished yet. After I identified this train wreck disaster of an online hearing aid fitting, I have to now tell you what I did to fix the problem. She essentially had two different options. Either purchase new hearing aids from me that are more appropriate for her type of hearing loss and go through our best practice fitting protocol. Or she could continue to use the hearing aids that she had purchased online, pay an adoption fee, and then go through the same best practice fitting protocol with me. She elected to go with option number 1, and when we did that, we actually ordered custom ear molds for the new hearing aids that I got for her. And just to show you how much better the programming was using more appropriate hearing aids with custom ear molds and using real ear measurement to do the programming, you can see now that the amplification levels are much more closely matching the prescriptive targets than she ever had previously. Now, after we completed our 45-day best practice fitting protocol with this individual, we had her complete a validation outcome questionnaire, which helped us to identify that she was performing much better for everything that she wanted to hear better in compared to her online hearing aids. There was not a single scenario that she encountered from a hearing perspective that was important to her that she did not do better with the new hearing aids with custom ear molds and proper programming. In fact, the only downsides for this individual throughout this entire process is that she had to go a full year without being able to communicate with pretty much anybody, and she basically threw away money buying hearing aids online that never worked for her. She actually spent more money trying to go the online hearing aid route than she would have had to spend just going with a clinic locally. I mean, we're talking thousands of dollars right down the drain. Fortunately, her story has a happy ending, but this is not how it typically goes for most people who choose to purchase prescription hearing aids online. A lot of these individuals continue to struggle forever because the online hearing companies lead them to believe that they're hearing the best that they can with their devices. So hopefully this story has helped you understand the risks that are associated with ordering hearing aids online. Not only is it impossible to identify if the hearing aids that you're going to buy are counterfeit, it's also impossible to properly physically fit the hearing aids, identify if the hearing aids are mechanically functioning the right way, and it's impossible to program the hearing aids properly. I should also warn you that online hearing aids are becoming such a big problem that a lot of local private practice audiology clinics are refusing to work on hearing aids that were purchased online. Essentially, when local clinics fix the problems of these online hearing aid companies, they're doing the online hearing aid companies' jobs for them, which means that they're supporting that industry. And now that you understand the risks of purchasing hearing aids online, it's up to you to decide if the risk is worth it.